Hi everyone, this is Paku Hang again, and I am live because our guest Thaomee Xiong is able to join us now. And so Thaomee, if you are in the audience, please let me know so that I will I will have you join us. So I'm just waiting for Thaomee to join. Thank you, beloved community. Again, my name is Paku Hang. I'm the Chief Program Officer for Vote Run Lead. We're a nonprofit that trains women to run for public office and to win. And the reason why we are doing these Instagram shows throughout the day is because we believe that we need a different type of leader to help transform the system that we're, the governance that we're in right now, that really bred the turmoil that we're in right now. And so one of my guests today is going to be Thaomee Xiong. She works for the city of St. Paul, and she has been bearing witness to what's been happening in St. Paul. And so as soon as Thaomee joins us, I'm going to be able to have her share with us what is happening in St. Paul. I think that there may be some problems with Thaomee joining us. I'm just gonna click in with my colleagues to see if everything is okay. I'm sorry, you all. I'm still waiting to see if Thaomee is on so she can join us. It looks like she's having some problems joining us. And so what we're going to do is we're going to try to punt this so that at 10 o'clock, we're going to have another guest who is going to be on with us. And at that time, we're also going to invite Thaomee. Oh, I think she's trying to join now. So, beloved community, how are you doing for real? What are you seeing in your backyard, in your city, in your downtowns, in your neighborhood? Share with us what you are feeling and seeing. We're waiting for our guest, Thaomee Xiong. She is the Director of Intergovernmental Relations for the City of St. Paul. She's been working very closely with the Mayor of St. Paul, especially in terms of addressing some of the minority businesses that were vandalized. CIC, Thaomee. I'm trying to wave to you, Thaomee, sorry. For some reason, we're not able to get Thaomee. Sorry, Thaomee, the way that you joined us, I'm not able to get you to I'm sorry, you all. Thaomee, I'm sorry for the way, some reason I'm not able to get you to sorry, you're seeing my house now. Okay, here we go. So I'm adding Thaomee now. Hi, Thaomee.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us this morning. Technology is a beast, isn't it?
Yes.
So as I've told our viewers, Thaomee is the Director of Intergovernmental Relations for the City of St. Paul, and she's also been helping the mayor liaison with a lot of minority businesses. For those of you who don't know, Minneapolis, St. Paul is a sister city of Minneapolis. And just like in Minneapolis, where Lake Street is the business corridor for many minority businesses. In St. Paul, University Avenue is the business corridor for a lot of minority businesses, especially Hmong and other Asian community members. And it is a corridor that has been especially targeted this past week. And so, Thaomee, my first question to you is, how are you doing for real? I know it's been a really hard week for a lot of us, but I can't imagine what you must be witnessing.
I think the entire mayoral staff is extremely exhausted. We've been working around the clock. We have regular check-ins. For a little bit, it was every hour, and then we paced it out throughout the day. I think the most important thing was to make sure that we were accessible to our community partners, residents, businesses, nonprofits, other elected officials. In my capacity as the director of Intergovernmental Relations, we wanted to make sure that our St. Paul congressional delegation were up to date about what we were doing. Oftentimes it was just reaching out to let them know, like, we're still here, we're working, there are no updates.
Right.
And that in itself, I felt like, and they said as well, that it was just good to hear from us and to know that there wasn't anything urgent, or to know that there wasn't anything they could do. So it's been emotionally and physically very exhausting and draining. But I think we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and the conversations now are, I was listening to your previous guest, and I think this event and the series of events are propelling us into a conversation where we can no longer wait and say, let's take time to deal with this, and let's be strategic. I think the word strategic is a delay tactic. And that waiting for things to have the perfect moment, there is no perfect moment, as you can tell. There is only, you have to take advantage of the opportunity, and if it's in 5 seconds, it's in 5 seconds.
Right.
We've been organizing these on Friday and Saturday when St. Paul was really hurting, and we were watching our Minneapolis neighbors really hurt. We had hourly groups, community groups,
Right.
and it was exhausting just to be able to be in relationship and be in communication, because the orchestration of it isn't like pre-COVID, where you can say, come meet us here, let's have a meeting. It was all technology based. As you can see, just you and I being able to communicate on Instagram was a challenge, and trying to convene two callers and making sure that they were able to access the information quickly, and then also be able to join in a timely manner, because there were 45-minute check-ins, 30-minute check-ins, and by the time they were able to get on, we were already done. So then we had to make sure we were available to talk with them after they missed the community convening.
Right.
So
Thaomee, can you tell us about what is happening in St. Paul in terms of just minority businesses? What have they been experiencing the past couple of days?
So, Paku, it's been since Thursday. I've been literally in hourly conversations with multiple small business owners, in particular the Asian-owned businesses on University and throughout the city. So, so what I noticed is there were trends in Minneapolis. There were concentrations and pockets of where businesses were being looted. In St. Paul, it felt like they were crimes of opportunity, where there was no rhyme or reason. And when the businesses were, when Target, when the protest started at Target on University Avenue, and then and the police showed up, then everyone was saying the protesters are going down University Avenue and targeting Asian businesses. So all the Asian businesses were calling. And the reason why people were afraid of Asian businesses being targeted is many of you know that in the George Floyd murder, one of the police officers was a Hmong American man. he was the one standing guard when individuals were trying to videotape. And so his identity has been released. I'm not going to say his name here, but I want to point out his name is very common. So if you Google that name,
it's like a John Smith. Yeah.
Exactly. So many people have been confused for him, confused that to be him. And so the Asian Business Zone University and along the parallel streets, everyone thought that they were going to be the next place to be looted. And so a lot of the big Hmong markets like Hmong Town and Hmong Village closed down, boarded up, left. And so there's a lot of fear and anxiety. People are arming themselves to make sure to protect their families as well as their property. And now there is this narrative that there's racial tensions between the African American community and the Hmong American / Asian American community. And I'm going to use Hmong American specifically just because the man was identified as a Hmong American. And so the Hmong American businesses in particular were extremely afraid. But, you know, for the average person, they wouldn't be able to tell if you're Asian or Thai or Cambodian, which we have a very diverse population in St. Paul. And yes, and University Avenue is extremely diverse, as you know, too. There are a lot of Somali businesses, Hmong businesses, Latino businesses, and it's just a very diverse immigrant kind of centered community. And then we have our historical Rondo community with lots of African American businesses that are, you know, the foundation and the grounding for a lot of the community members in that neighborhood.
Completely. You know, Thaomee, we started off this conversation talking about like, why is Vote Run Lead interested, right? Not only because Minneapolis is our home, but because we are out to dismantle the system of patriarchy, which is in bed with white supremacy. And I think that oftentimes the white supremacy wins when they are able to peg Black people against brown people, against Asians, and against Native people, right? As long as we are fighting against each other for the small piece of the pie, then white supremacy reigns. And I wanted to just delve into your what you said about how there's this narrative now that Hmong people are against Black people, or that Black people are against Hmong people, when that's not true. That unfortunately we are all survivors of white supremacy, that we are trying to just live our lives with dignity amidst a system of oppression, and that we're all in this together. I feel like that is a story. I feel like there's a dominant narrative that is pervading, but it's not true, what's on the ground. Can you also share with us a little bit about how community members are reacting to what's happening in St. Paul? I know that a lot of folks have got together and cleaned up. People have been sharing resources amongst each other. I know your colleague Noel Nix has been trying to get donations together. So how is the community responding to what's happening in St. Paul and Minneapolis?
So, Paku, before I talk about the residents, I do want to say that the Asian American, Hmong American community in St. Paul stands in solidarity with our American brothers and sisters who are feeling this in a very deep and painful way that we will never understand, right? Yeah. This is decades and centuries of oppression and violence and destruction. Basically, if you read the history of America, every institutional and social policy that you've looked at, it was the systematic breakdown of the African American family community. Yeah. So I just wanted to acknowledge that in partnership and in solidarity with our African American brothers and sisters, we understand this is something we cannot, that we could never feel and understand in a way that they've experienced. In terms of the racial tensions, I think that the perception of it is much larger than the reality of it.
Yeah.
One, because media likes to feed on things that are controversial. Mm-hmm. Two, because everyone's trying to find a sexier story, right? But I can tell you that when I was out and about in both Minneapolis and St. Paul, everywhere I looked were people volunteering to clean up, where people were helping to board up businesses. The volunteers did not distinguish between if it was an Asian business, a Black-owned business, or a Latino business. They went and boarded up any businesses that wanted to be boarded up to protect their property. When I went to food shelters or places of volunteerism where people were driving food because, our grocery stores are closed now. Places where we can shop are all closed. The volunteers were multiracial, multi-ethnic. The people receiving the services and the donations were multicultural, multi-ethnic. People speaking multiple languages, people with multiple religions. What is playing out in our cities, it goes to the heart of the best of humanity. And, I see you getting teary-eyed and I'm getting all choked up as well. It's been very challenging, but every day, like after a horrible night of burning in our city, the next day, everyone comes out in hope and in love and in spirit and coming out to work. And to me, that is what I think these protests and this uprising is going to demonstrate to us, is that when we work in solidarity, we really build collective power across our racial communities and learn from our African American and Indigenous brothers and sisters who've had centuries of oppression in the United States. We will then really be able to reach real equity in our society, as well as no longer have to experience another murder like George Floyd. And you and I talked on the phone the other day with the situation in New York City with the woman in Central Park.
Amy Cooper, yeah.
The fact that people can weaponize a person's racial and gender is, to me, disgusting, and also to me so it goes to the deep-seated institutional sexism and racism that exists in our society. And without evidence to prove otherwise, we will always lean to the stereotypes versus trying to get the truth. And so I wanted to share that with you because there has been a lot of pain in the African American community and the Asian American community, trying to figure out how do we stand in support. And so in addition to the volunteering, a lot of my friends are part of the Asian stands with Asians for Black Lives
Matter.
At 1 o'clock, at 12 o'clock, they're already convening and will be also joining a rally in St. Paul. But it started out of a group of young Americans who saw what was happening on social media. And they basically just we want to be Asian for Black Lives Matter. Actually, it's Hmong for Black Lives Matter. It was pretty big. And it was started out with a small handful of people. And by the time they got to the rally at the state capitol, there were close to 100 of them. So I'm so impressed with our community. And now I was told on Facebook that over 1,000 people have joined their Facebook and following.
Amazing. So Thaomee, I know that it's a crazy day for you, so I want to be respectful of your time. I want to thank you again for your words of affirmation and for your leadership in this moment. And I really want to thank you for your clarity and navigating some of these false narratives and revealing the truth of people coming together and building that collective power. So thank you so much, sister, and continue. I love you. Thanks.
I'm grateful to have been invited on, and you have a long day of really amazing and fabulous Minnesotan women who are really paving the way for women of color and Indigenous women in Minnesota. And the more we elevate the leadership of women of color and Native women, the more we can actually change these impossible, deep-seated institutional challenges and structural racism that we experience every day. So thank you.
The wise words from Thaomee Xiong. Thank you again, Thaomee. Thank you. So there you have it. Words from Thaomee Xiong, Director of Intergovernmental Relations with the City of St. Paul, sharing with us what she is bearing witness to in the City of St. Paul and in the neighborhoods of the Twin Cities. So I'm going to sign off for now, but please join us again in a few minutes at 10 o'clock, where my colleague Erin is going to be talking to another amazing activist. And we will be doing this on the hour until 6 o'clock tonight. So thank you so much, beloved community, for joining us.